Double D. Welcome to the real T with Double D. Welcome to the real T with Double D. Yeah. Grab your tea and take a seat, cause we got something to say. We bring you that news when it happens same day. All of it be accurate, cause we give it to them straight. And the real T with Double D don't spread nothing fake. Wanna hear news about politics, then go on here subscribe. Like the Channel 12, we bring it to them live. With updates by Trump trial and how he facing time. We gon' let you know the real about the news and crimes. Speak on all topics and we make it interesting. Post them on the channel, now they wanna call us messy. When celeb news exposed, we be on it in a second. Blackery while I'm black, we accurate, not guessing. Welcome to the real T with Double D. Welcome to the real T with Double D. Welcome to the real T with Double D. Welcome to the real T with Double D.
Hey players, welcome to a brand new episode of the Real Tea with Double D. Of course, I'm your girl Double D, and we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and the Tickety Talk. So excited to be with you all tonight to record a brand new episode. Listen, I did not think I was going to make it here with you all tonight. My mother had a little snafu thing going on, but we got her taken care of expeditiously. She is fine. For all you ones on Facebook where I posted that I wasn't going to be able to come here because I was going to have to be with my mother, but she is absolutely fine. Thank God. Snaps up to the mom. Snaps up to the mother, dear. She's doing well, and she's pissed to the highest level of pissivity about this election, though, and she worried about her check. So that might be the reason why she had a little snafu, honey. She I'm telling you, she called me about 400 times, baby. She was pissed to the highest level of pissivity, especially considering the fact that, you know, I was a little too confident, dude. I fucking told her Kamala was gonna win, and baby, it would have didn't come back like that, baby. She was pissed to the highest level of pissivity at Double D, honey. The mothers were my mother was definitely mothering that day. She looks to me for all of her political news and stuff like that, and she was kind of upset with me that my hypothesis or my conclusion to this entire thing was inaccurate. She said, but you're Double D, you're supposed to be accurate. Well, god dang, mama, I mean, players fuck up. That's the only thing I can say to her was players F up. All right, players. So I'm so glad to be with you all tonight to record a brand new episode, even though it is a somber week. Finding out that we are going to have another 4 years of frumpy to the motherfucking up.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Oh, yes, honey. It's unfortunately true. Now, before we get into everything, I just want to tell you guys over on the Facebook and the YouTube and the Tickety Talk, I won't be able to interact with you all as much as I would like because you all know I'm recording this for my podcast. Remember to support the podcast and he's streaming wherever you stream your podcast. I'm talking Apple, Audible, Amazon, Spotify, all other places you can find my podcast. You can also watch the visual version on the YouTube. So remember to follow me, Double D Mother, if you're not already on the YouTube, and click that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any of the new episodes. And follow me on all my social media platforms so you don't miss out on that day-to-day tea. I want to thank everybody for riding and flying with me. You guys over on Facebook, Tickety Talk, and the YouTube for coming through in the clutch and watching your girl again today. I really appreciate it. Now, I want y'all to go ahead and grab y'all teacups. The name of this episode is called Nah. Now, it's called Nah, really, Nah, because it's called Nah because, hey, black folks said, nah, we ain't going. Nah, we ain't going. However you want to say it. That's what they saying, baby. We ain't going, honey. We ain't got nothing else for you. That's the name of this episode. And for tonight's episode, I have my cup. I don't give a sip because black people said they showed up at the polls to save democracy, and the numbers overwhelmingly say that they did. And baby, they said they don't want to hear nothing else, dude. They sitting this one out. So y'all go ahead and grab your tea and have a seat. Let's get into it. All right, players. So the first item on the agenda that we have to talk about, of course, is Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. Of course, we all know, unfortunately, she did not win this election for president of the United States, as we all hoped, as we all wanted, as we all dreamed, as we all of the things. We was definitely hoping that Madam Vice President Kamala Harris was going to pull this one out, becoming the first woman of color, the first Black woman to be president of the United States. But America, it feels that they responded overwhelmingly and said no, said that they were not ready. They would rather have a convicted felon, a convicted, found liable for sexual assault, twice impeached, tried to overthrow the government, 34-time felon, also facing charges, keeping the American classified documents in their shitter, frumpy to the motherfucking dump. That's what they would like to have. They would have to like to have massive tariffs. They would rather have mass deportation. They would rather have the dismantlement of the Department of Education, the FDA. They would rather have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. be over the FDA or whatever is going to be left of it. That's what they would rather have. That's what the American people decided that they wanted, despite the booming economy, despite inflation being at an all-time low, despite the fact that the Biden administration, in many people's opinion, have definitely done what they needed to do when it comes down to for the American people. I'm not going to allow anyone to continue to bash the Biden administration and pretend as if the Biden administration Biden Harris administration did not inherit a shithole from Frump and Dump, and they turned it around in less than 4 years. And I want you guys to look at the numbers for yourself so that you won't know, so you all will know that I'm not playing around. We have 16 million jobs created, GDP up 12.6% more than than any administration in history. Incomes up nearly $4,000 more than prices. Inflation is down to 2.1%, and we're going to circle back to that. And the lowest average unemployment in 50 years. You can't tell me that the Biden administration didn't make it do what it do when they needed to make it do what it do. When they came into when they came into the White House, the country was looking bleak. We were in the middle of a pandemonium. Jobs were unemployment was high. The economy was in the shitter. Also, the morale of this country, because we're in a pandemonium, was in the shitter, and the Biden and Harris administration came through in the clutch and did what they needed to do. Again, inflation is down to 2.1%. If you look at this graph that I'm showing you here, 2.1%. If you look at the Frump and Dump administration, when he got the economy back in 2016, it was around 1.5% that he inherited from the Obama administration. It peaked in 2017. As you can see, the Frump and Dump administration, the economy, the inflation was around 2.5%, and it went down, and then in 2020, of course, we know it spiked during the Biden administration after the pandemonium. The Biden administration definitely did what they needed to do regarding America as we know it. As far as the economy, and this is what people said that they cared about the most as they voted for Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, leading economists have stated that Donald Trump's policies is going to lead to a crash in the economy, but they still voted for this man. And it makes absolutely no sense. So Madam Vice President Kamala Harris graciously conceded yesterday. She gave a very riveting speech. I was very impressed with Kamala Harris's speech. I thought that she did very well in ensuring that there was going to be a peaceful transfer of power. Not like I didn't expect that there would be. I think that she did a stellar job in that, and also talking about hope and talking about how we're not going to give up and we're going to keep up the fight. Let's listen to this.
So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting.
Hello. So I think Madam Vice President Kamala Harris did a wonderful job in her concession speech. She did say that she called Frumpy Dump and congratulated him on his win. I wish I was a fly on the wall when she had to do that, because I can imagine what her face was looking like as she had to call Frumpy Dump and congratulate him on his win. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure the way Kamala Harris ended her speech, I'm pretty sure that this is not the end of her in politics. Not sure which way she is going to go, but I'm pretty sure this is not the end. But at the end of the day, Kamala Harris in 107 days did a wonderful job to get that many votes for 107 days on the campaign trail, mobilizing so many people. 90,000 volunteers worked for Kamala Harris. The money that she was able to raise in such a short time frame, and also the hope that she was able to generate. And the you remember the campaign, the Democrats, we were bleak. We were in a bleak space when Kamala Harris burst on the scene with the joy lean, and definitely brought back hope. And that is what I wanted to see. So with that being said, Kamala Harris, I'm wishing you luck, and I'm hoping that this isn't the last. I know it's not the last time, and that we're going to see you. I don't know what's going to be coming in 2028. I don't know if Kamala Harris is going to be stepping on the scene, but if she does, I know that she's going to do a great job, because in just 107 days, what she did, that's something that a lot of people wouldn't have been able to do. A lot of people wouldn't have been able to do. So today, President Biden spoke regarding, Trump and Dump taking office and all of the things. And I just wanted you to listen to what President Biden had to say.
The struggle for the soul of America, since our very founding, has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today. I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent. And it can be trusted, win or lose.
So with that being said, President Biden, also, you can't you know, when you can't the election can't be fair only when you win. And you notice since Frumpy won the election, he hasn't said a thing about voter fraud. Nothing, not a peep, nothing. Even though they're drumming this up on social media saying that the Democrats are trying to find a way to rig these House seats because they feel like because some of these elections have not been called. There's been a lot of rumblings on social media, but from Frumpy Dump, he has been completely quiet on his social media. On the day of the election, he was saying that Pennsylvania was rigging the election, but we have heard absolutely nothing in regards to voter fraud from him since he won the election. Make that make sense, because it doesn't. It never will. All this time he's been saying, for the last 4 years, he's been saying that the elections are stolen, that they are not safe, that they're rigged, all of the things. But the moment that he wins, he has duct tape over his mouth. He can't say anything about election fraud and voter fraud. Nothing about migrants voting, illegal immigrants voting, nothing about dead people voting, nothing about any type of voter fraud. I declare, honey, it's a disgrace, because it was all a lie. And if Donald Trump had lost this election, I can bet you by golly wow, today he would be talking about voter fraud. That night he would have been talking about voter fraud. He would have already filed 10 lawsuits by today, 20 lawsuits by today, if he had lost that election. But because he won, he has absolutely nothing to say. Make it make sense, because it doesn't. He doesn't have anything to say now that he won.
Not a goddamn thing.
I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So, again, the Frumpy Dump Tank Sniffers and Magamites, they're contending that there's rigging going on regarding these House seats and Senate seats. However, it hasn't gotten as much attention as when Frumpy Dump says it. And he can't say it, because if he says the election was rigged, then he will have to say that he lost his own election for a second time. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. Now, speaking of the House seats, let's move on to the House seats. I wanted to talk about those really quickly and what is going on in these House seats. Because right now we know that the Frumpy Dump Tank Sniffers and Magamites have gained back control of the Senate. It's going to be a slim majority, but they do have a majority in the Senate. Unfortunately, if you do not understand what that means, it is very important, because the Senate actually confirms all of the federal judges that Frumpy Dump is going to appoint. Also, the Supreme Court justices, they are in charge of that. They are completely in charge of the Senate and all of the other, I believe it's about 1,000 jobs that have to be confirmed through the Senate that Frumpy Dump is going to, for his administration. I believe there's about 1,000 or so jobs, a total of 4,000 jobs. 3,000 of them he can appoint himself, but another 1,000 of them have to be confirmed by the Senate. Now, also, the Senate has to confirm the Supreme Court justices. So, I mean, the Supreme Court justices and the federal judges that Frumpy Dump is going to appoint. So now they have free reign to appoint anybody that they want, because they have control of the Senate. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. Now, as far as the House goes, right now we're still counting up. I know I posted, the Decision Desk had actually posted on election night that the Democrats had already lost the House of Representatives. However, there's still hope within the House of Representatives. Right now, it's a 198 to 210 with the 210 House seats, with the Republicans leading. Voters across the country are going to decide who will control the House. Now, there's a total of 218 seats. There are currently 220 Republicans and 212 Democrats, and 3 vacancies. So again, there are now 14 uncalled races that we need to watch. Iowa, which has 99% of the vote in, and the GQP is up by 1%. Ohio, 94% in. The Democrats are up there. Colorado, there's a seat there. District 3, I believe it is, and the Democrats are down. They're 92% in and 46% on Democrats, 50% on the GQP. Maine, 50% for the Dem, 49% for the GOP. Another Colorado seat, the Democrats are winning that seat. In Washington, District 3, the Democrats are winning that seat 51% to 48%. Oregon, we have 47% on the Dems, 45% on the GQP, and 91% of that vote is in. Alaska, the GQP is up in that one, 49.7% to 45%, and they have 71% of the vote in. We have one in California, 50% on the GQP, 49.9% on the Dems, and 80% of that vote is in at this point. And then we have another Washington seat, 4th district. The GQP is up on that one, 41%. We're probably going to lose that one. That's at 40. Well, no, they have 59% of the vote counted. And then we have another California vote. GQP is up 55% on that one. The Dem is at 45%, and then 52% of that vote. 52% of those ballots have been counted, and that's of tonight. So we probably won't learn anything about that until tomorrow. Again, this evening, the Republicans picked up another Senate seat with a win in Pennsylvania, expanding their majority to 53 seats with 2 races left to be called. So if the Republicans take over the House and they have the Senate, I hate to say it, man. It's already gonna be bumpy, but it's really gonna be bumpy if that was to take place, man. This is the absolute horrific outcome, and a lot of people have been discussing the voter turnout. As we all know, voter turnout was not as good. We have kind of like a situation where we got in 2016 where people just didn't turn out to vote. According to reporting, about 18 million people or so, well, I'm not going to give you a number, millions of people did not show up and show out to vote. Less people voted this time than they did in 2020. And it's really sad to look at. And then also the way that these voters turned out, the way that they voted. Some of them I'm not surprised by, but I mean, it is what it is. Males voted 43% Democrat, 54% Republican. Females voted 54% Democrat, 44% Republican, 43% white. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 43% white, and then 55%. You guys see the deal here. 86% black voters voted for Kamala Harris. 43% white voted for Kamala Harris. 55% for Frumpy Dump. I want to go circle back to that. Black voters. 86% of black voters showed up and showed out and voted for Kamala Harris, despite the fact that the media drummed up this mass exodus of black voters voting for Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys have heard me speak about this time and time again, but anytime I talked about this fallacy that there was going to be this mass exodus of black voters scurrying over to Donald Trump, I have always stated that that was not going to be a fact, that there was definitely not going to be that a mass exodus of black voters that were going to vote for Donald Trump. It was not going to happen. And it did not happen. And I am so proud, and I am so happy to go to the cookout this year because I know that my people showed up and showed out and did the right thing, voted against white supremacy, voted against Project 2025, voted against fascism, voted against the establishment, voted against Donald Trump. I'm so happy to hear that we showed up and we showed out and we did that once again. So kudos to all of my people, man, for showing up, for the ones that did show up at the polls. Now, you ones that didn't show up, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't understand how you don't understand how voting affects you, how it's important for you to cast your ballot, to exercise your civic duty. I do not understand that. I'll never be able to understand it. I don't understand why it takes so much convincing for Black people to get. Why does it take us to convince you to go and exercise your civic duty? It don't take anything for white people to vote. They gonna show up every time. But when it comes down to Black people, for some reason, even though they try so hard to take your vote away from you, you decide that you're not going to vote for some reason. And I will never be able to understand that, the fact that people die for your right to vote, the fact that there are so many things that affect you when it comes down to voting and you choose to stay home and not to do it. It doesn't make sense to me. I've heard a lot of people saying, what went wrong with the Democrats? Why has this been a blue wall, like a red wave? And I hate to say that, but I mean, essentially it has. If they take the House, it's going to be a red wave. And I'll say this, and I've been saying this for quite some time, and I've said this to you guys before. I don't feel like the Democrats did well in their messaging. I feel like when President Biden was campaigning for president, I feel like they spent so much time hammering President Biden on him being old instead of talking about the things that the Biden administration had accomplished. This administration has been one of the most prosperous administrations that we have ever had, but it won't be remembered as that because I feel like the Democrats' messaging has not been as loud as it should have been. I feel like the Democrats have been muddied with scandals, being too ready for a soundbite. And I got to keep it a stat. You know, the bad bill, bleach blonde, butch body, that's a good thing and all. It's good to spread that around. But what I also need you to talk about is these economic policies. I'm not just going after Jasmine Crockett. I'm talking about all of them. All of the accomplishments of the Biden administration, how they worked across the aisle to pass bipartisan legislation, the infrastructure package, infrastructure deal, the Chips and Sciences Act. All of these things were accomplished under the Biden administration, and I feel like Democrats did not do a good job in hammering that home. And it started when President Biden was doing his campaign, and everyone kept on talking about how freaking old he was instead of the accomplishments of his administration as a whole. I feel like if they had done that, that would have carried over to Kamala Harris when she launched her campaign. I feel like if they had been direct in their messaging, if they had been loud about their messaging all together, instead of one person talking about this and one person talking about this and one person talking about that, everybody talking about the same thing, which is the amazing accomplishments of the Biden-Harris administration, it wouldn't have been a problem for Kamala Harris to come along and for her to just talk about those policies. But what we had to do is we had to spend so much time cleaning up from that in those months that they had spent talking about President Biden's age when they should have been talking about what he had accomplished, where they had spent so much time in the House fighting with Marjorie Taylor, Musty to the Must Pie Marjorie, and Matt Gaetz, and talking about Hunter Biden and all of these things when they really should have been talking about the accomplishments of the Biden administration. I'm gonna tell you one thing: the Do Nothing Republicans, they did a good job of that because they kept Frumpy Dump at the forefront of the Republicans' mind. They wasn't gonna let nobody forget about Frumpy Dump. They kept, even though this man went in office, they kept him on the House floor. They kept him in the Senate. They kept talking about him. And the Democrats fed into it every single time. And they gave him soundbite after soundbite after soundbite. And that's how they was able to do what, in my opinion, that's how they were able to do what they did. That's what I think. I don't think that the messaging got out there soon enough. I don't feel like, I feel like Kamala Harris did a good job in reiterating that messaging. But I believe by the time it got there, it was too far gone. That's my opinion. So I don't know what you all think. You guys are welcome to put it in the comments. You guys in the podcast, y'all let me know what you think about that. What do you think went wrong with the Democrats? Why do you think that this has essentially been a red wave in 2024 when literally we have a candidate that is literally facing jail on November 26th. We have a candidate that was impeached twice. And let's double back to the impeachment. Let's talk about that, because if they had an impeached Frumpy Dump's ass back in 2020 and back in 2021 for the stuff that he had did when he was in office, we wouldn't be sitting here anyway, because he wouldn't have been able to run for president. He would not have been, it would have been Ron DeSantis. He would not have been able to run for president if they had rightfully impeached him for the shit that he did. But they chose not to impeach him. Mitch McConnell, while you got up there trying to act like you was all sad and drab and this and that, you can't act like that because you didn't vote for the impeachment. Anybody that voted against the impeachment of Donald Trump the second time, the first time too, but the second time especially, when he had literally just attempted to overthrow the government because he lost an election, and you let this man run again when you had the power to take that away from him? Make it make sense. How can you be sad and drab now? How can you? How can you? You allowed it to happen. You had an opportunity to get rid of it, but you didn't get rid of it. You didn't take out the trash. You left it on the American people to do it. And now look at what happened. It's crazy work. It's crazy work. It's diabolical. But that's exactly what happened. All right, players. So let me know what you all think. What do you think went wrong with the Democrats in that regard? We're going to scurry on over really quickly. I ain't going to take that long because I've spent way too much time on this. Y'all grab your tea and have a seat. Let's get into the next topic, which is the GQP now admitting that Project 2025 was a real thing. All right, players. So, of course, we all know about Project 2025, honey. I've been talking about it. Everybody and their mama done talked about it. 900 pages of what the Frumpy Dump administration, well, what this project, which is aligned with Frumpy Dump, but even though he tries to deny it, I mean, what was it? Agenda 47 and Project 2025 work hand in hand. He just did it in video form instead of PDF. That's all it was. When you go to a Frumpy Dump's policy website, he has all these videos up here because he knows that the Frumpy Dump tank sniffers don't read. He know they can't read, so he puts up videos for his policies. That's what he does. It is basically aligned with Project 2025. It's just worded differently because he's speaking it. So anyway. As we all know, honey, Frumpy Dump tried to distance himself from Project 2025. All of them tried to say that it wasn't a real thing. I even have people, Frumpy Dump tank sniffers, in my comment section saying that Project 2025 is not a real thing. That is not, even though members of Frumpy Dump's own administration contributed to Project 2025, even though what did I want to say? Even though members of Frumpy Dump's own administration contributed to Project 2025, Frumpy Dump's own vice president contributed to Project 2025. They say it's not aligned with Frumpy Dump, even though his agenda aligns perfectly with Project 2025. And I want you guys to understand that everything that they can do in Project 2025 is done by executive order, meaning they don't need to pass this through the House and the Senate. So even though they have the House and the Senate, this stuff can be done by executive order. Well, now, since the election is over, we have Frumpy Dump tank sniffers and Magamites now admitting that Project 2025 is real. As you can see, Benny Johnson, who was outed as taking money from, I believe it was Russia. You guys over on TikTok, put that in the comments. Benny Johnson. Wasn't he taking money from Russia, $400,000 for a couple of minute video a month or something like that? Benny Johnson put on TikTok and put on Twitter and said, "It is my honor to inform you all that." It is my honor to inform you all that Project 2025 was real the whole time. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So while the Frumpy Dump tank sniffers and Magamites are not understanding that, especially the ones who lives down here in this deep, dirty South, and they have children with special needs, that they about to dismantle the Department of Education and your children's services that they receive, their speech and their occupational therapy that they get in school, that's all gonna be gone because they're gonna dismantle the Department of Education. Special education is gonna be gone. And guess what? In them private schools, they don't have to provide you with any type of services. While you all are trying to deny that Project 2025 is real, I hope you got some money to pay for those services, honey, because you're going to be paying for them services when they dismantle the Department of Education. We also have Steve don't wash his ass unless Frumpy Dump tells him to, Bannon admitting that Project 2025 was a real thing, kind of trying to laugh that situation off. Y'all go ahead and watch this video from his podcast. He was reading a tweet from Matt Walsh. Dog, do I have it? Dang, y'all. No. I did it again. It's my fault, y'all. I didn't put it in here. Oh, I do have it. Sorry, I have it. Him reading a tweet from Matt Walsh, where Matt Walsh admitted that Project 2025 was a real thing. Watch this.
Just put up on Twitter. Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda. That's from Matt Walsh. Fabulous. I'm going to have to, Grace, if we can grab that and put that over.
I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So Steve don't wash his ass unless Frumpy Dump tells him to. Bannon, he got straight out the clink and got straight down to business, honey. The liver spots are livering. The hair is as greasy as they come. And of course, the shirt is as crunchy as it was as the day that he went into the clink 4 months ago. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So again, while all of you are out there trying to say that Project 2025 is not a real thing, well, honey, it is a real thing. And as soon as Frumpy Dump is in office, they're going to implement this thing, starting with mass deportation. That is the first thing that is on the list for Frumpy Dump tonight. According to reporting, he spoke with someone from CNN where he said there is no price tag on mass deportation. His own Frumpy Dump campaign spokesperson, Caroline Levitt, she said that that will be his agenda on day one, to implement these mass deportations. So that is what is on the horizon for Frumpy Dump. He also appointed his cabinet, his chief of staff, for the first time, making it a woman, the first time a woman has ever held the position. Her name is Susan Wiles. She was fired by Ron DeSantis back in, I believe, 2020 or so, after he won the governor race. She was fired by him, and then Frumpy Dump picked her up because she is a Frumpy Dump loyalist. She has a history of working on Republican campaigns. For some reason, the reason why Ron DeSantis wanted to get rid of her is because got rid of her and then encouraged Frumpy Dump to fire her, which Frumpy Dump did back in 2020, was because Ron DeSantis alleged that she had leaked some campaign emails or whatnot that he felt like was a detriment to his campaign. So that was one of the reasons why. But her name is Susan Wiles. I'm sorry, I don't have Susie Wiles. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of her. I forgot to put it in here, honey. It ain't nothing good. It ain't nothing good to look at anyway. She's 66 years old. And she's a Frumpy Dump loyalist, so y'all can just imagine what that looks like. All right, players. So again, Project 2025 is a real thing, honey, and they are coming through with that. And hey, you guys voted for it. It is what you said you wanted, so that's what you're gonna get. And we're gonna see how you ones and you deep red states are really going to fare. That's including myself. You guys know I live in Louisiana, so y'all pray for me. That's the only thing I can say. I got a red governor and I got a red governor, a red government, and I also have now a red president. Child, I can't breathe down here. All right, players, y'all grab your tea and have a seat. Let's scurry on over to Frumpy Dump's legal corner. All right, players. So let's scurry on over to Frumpy Dump's legal corner. Really not much to update there. As we all know, Frumpy Dump is now the president elect. So because of this, once he becomes president, the DOJ rule says that they can't pursue any prosecution of a sitting president. So that means that his cases with the DOJ will be put on hold. Same thing with the we put on hold until after his term, which is 2028. 2029. That's when that case will have to be delayed until after he leaves office. The Georgia case is likely going to have to be delayed until he leaves office. Now, Frumpy Dump is supposed to be sentenced on those 34 felony counts on November the 26th. Judge Marchand is going to have to decide whether he's going to sentence him to jail time or if he's just going to delay this whole thing. I really don't know how Judge Marchand is going to do when it comes down to this, but November 26th is going to be the day to watch when it comes down to Frumpy Dump's legal woes. And what I mean by that is his criminal cases. Again, That one in Georgia is going to be delayed 2029. The one with my guy Jack Smith likely going to be delayed, and maybe because it's a federal case, a front and dump, it's going to be a front and dump DOJ. He may just fire Jack Smith, and then I don't know if he can do this, but I did read it that he may he can definitely try. It's never been done, but he can pardon himself. He can also they can do the 25th Amendment, and they can well, I don't know about the 25th Amendment, but they could definitely get JD Vance, like put JD Vance in the presidential position. I've heard of this. I'm not going to say that because I don't know this to be true. So X that out. Don't say I Double D said that. I'm taking that out because I don't want to be responsible for nobody repeating that. Taking that out. But yes, he could definitely, according to reports when we talked about this, he could definitely pardon himself. So the DOJ can't pursue any prosecution of a sitting president. So those cases will have to be delayed. He's going to have to be sentenced on November 26th. Now let's scurry on up to my girl, because I got to tell you about Tish James. Honey, Tish James said in the criminal just in the front and dump. Let me get it out. In the criminal justice system, Frump and Dump thought he would get away with crime. But in New York, there's an attorney general by the name of Letitia James. This is her story. Bum bum. Baby, Tish James says she is not playing around with Frump and Dump, honey. She said, we are going to follow the law, and Frump and Dump is going to pay New York their fundage. Yesterday, she held a press conference with the governor. So she's got the governor at her side, Governor Hochul, and they said they ain't playing around with Frump and Dump. Y'all listen to what she got to say.
And lastly, I congratulate the President-elect Donald Trump. And if possible, we will work with his administration. But we will not compromise our values or our integrity or our principles. We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before, and we use the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again. Because as the Attorney General of this great state, it is my job to protect and defend the rights of New Yorkers and the rule of law. And I will not shrink from that responsibility.
Baby, Tish James said, ain't no backing down, B. We want that fundage. We want that money, honey. She is not playing. And if anybody can get that money, it's going to be Tish James. So they say that they are not playing around with Frump and Dump. So we definitely going to see what comes out in the Washington arrangement of this. Remember, Frump and Dump also owes E. Jean Carroll money. So he's not going to be, just because he's the president doesn't mean he's relieved of his civil obligations. These are civil suits. So he's still going to have to contend with those. So if he has to go to court on that, it's going to be interesting on how that's going to play out. It's just ridiculous that they elected this man. Look at the crap that he's bringing to the presidency. He's just making us a laughing stock. You literally got a president with a mugshot. Look at him. Just stinking and nasty. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. All right, players. So y'all go ahead and grab your tea and have a seat, honey. Of course, we got to talk about, I got to give you guys an update on guess who, baby? Guess who? Human skid mark Giuliani. He continues to try to backpedal, and I don't even know. Can I say pamper? I gotta figure back pamper, fart, poop pop. I got to think of something. Y'all grab your tea and have a seat. Let's talk about the skid mark. Human skid mark, human skid mark, human skid mark. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. I hope human skid mark Giuliani doesn't somehow think that he's going to be able to backpedal and skid mark pop out of the situations with him, honey, because he's got several civil lawsuits against him, and he's also got he's also got some state criminal cases against him. It ain't nothing that Frumpy can do about his state criminal cases that he has. The one in Arizona and the one in Georgia. Frumpy Dump may be his case may be over for now or delayed for now. But the other ones, the other defendants that was with him, and also the human skid mark up there in Arizona, baby, there ain't no backing out of that. So today, human skid mark Giuliani was summoned to the court of law because guess what? He tried to backpedal and skid mark Pop out of giving Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss what they are owed from him. Human skid mark refused to turn over some of the belongings, saying that he did not know where they were. As we all know, human skid mark was ordered to turn over his apartment in New York, but when they got there, honey, all of the things he was supposed to turn over, like the baseball, the baseball jerseys and the rings and watches and all this kind of stuff that he was supposed to turn over, was not there, as well as a Mercedes-Benz, a vintage Mercedes-Benz that he was supposed to turn over. It was not there, honey. Well, baby, the human skid mark ended up showing up at the polling place to vote in the Mercedes convertible that he was ordered to surrender to Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. So the skid mark showed up with the evidence, honey, with the Mercedes being at the polling place. So Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss had already filed for another court hearing because the skid mark didn't turn over all of those belongings. So the judge made the skid mark show up in court today, and he got chastised in the court of law, honey. It was a federal court, and human skid mark tried to say that he did not know where those belongings were that he was supposed to turn over to Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. And the judge said the notion that your client doesn't have any knowledge of where his assets are located is moot. Human skid mark Giuliani definitely knows where those items are, and he has been ordered to transfer personal property, including cash accounts, jewelry, valuables, over to them because he owes them $146 million. The judge ordered Thursday's hearing after attorneys for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss said that human skid mark had failed to turn over those items. Now, after the court hearing, no, excuse me, let me go back to that. The judge told human skid mark Giuliani's attorneys that this was only a game that human skid mark was playing, and he ordered him to turn over those items as soon as possible. I don't see a time frame here on which he gave him. I think 48 hours is what they said that he had to turn over those items, or he will be held in contempt, according to this. So after it was over, the skid mark scurried on out the courtroom, and this is what he had to say about it.
Any regrets about defaming Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss?
No. I did not. First of all, I didn't defame him. I did not defame him. That's on appeal, my friend. May I just make a couple of comments?
Mr. Can I talk?
Let's keep some perspective. That's everything that's been ordered. Everything that's been ordered today will, in reversal of this verdict, we're all going to come back to West. I seem to think that finally, Rudy Giuliani is going to give up everything he owns. But if, as I believe, we're going to have that verdict reversed, it's all going to come back. Based on, as they said to the press, one of my rare colleagues, stay tuned.
Human skid mark, human skid mark, human skid mark. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. The man is so senile that he's sitting up here telling on himself about to defame these people again. If the attorney is a member of his Cracker Jack Box legal team was not there, human skid mark was literally about to defame these people again. Showing up to vote in the evidence is absolutely diabolical. In my opinion, the judge should have went ahead and just held him in contempt right then. I don't understand why they continue to to allow this man to play around with Ruby Freeman and Shay Mouse. They're not going to get the 146 million anyway, but they definitely need to be getting what they deserve. Getting all of his everything that he has. They should get every cent and every penty and every pinto of what he has. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. All right, players. So we're going to move on. And guess what, y'all? It's time for y'all favorite game. It's time to it's time for another riveting episode of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Players, it's time for another riveting episode of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. All right, players. So the recipient of the Stupid Prize Award tonight has to go to none other than a frumpy dump taint sniffer. And I am going to be so upset if this frumpy dump taint sniffer is not in my pictures. And it appears that the frumpy dump taint sniffer is not in my pictures. And I'm so upset that I failed to put him over here. But we're going to definitely talk about him. And it's going to be none other than Waka Flocka Flam. I declare it. What a disgrace.
That shit is crazy. I really don't like that guy.
So as we all know, honey, Waka Flocka was supporting Frumpy Dump for president. He decreed and declared that Frumpy Dump should be president of the United States and that he loves him and Blase Skip and all of the things, honey. He was like, oh, yes, honey. Frumpy Dump is that guy. So he said that he was going to vote for Frumpy Dump and posted it on social media. Now, of course, the congregation of the internet streets, they went to marching straight on over to Waka Flocka, and they was like, what the hell are you doing, sir? What is going on? And y'all know how the congregation goes, honey. Whenever they do something that whenever somebody comes out and they say that they're going to support Frumpy Dump, the congregation of the internet streets, they go over and they find out exactly what is going on. So, of course, the congregation went and checked Waka Flocka's voter registration, and they learned that Waka Flocka had not voted in any general election, honey. 2016, Waka Flocka didn't vote. 2018, Waka Flocka didn't vote. 2020, Waka Flocka didn't vote. And of course, we know that it is pending whether he voted yesterday, because day before yesterday, because he may not have voted then, honey. But now we have more consequences and repercussions for Waka Flocka. It's really damn ridiculous and a hot boo boo shitty mess. So apparently, Waka Flocka was supposed to be doing some sort of concert or some sort of thing at like a little winery or something like that. And the person said, look, Waka Flocka, your politics, I posted you up online. I'm getting people up coming over here and telling me that they don't want you here. So the peoples have spoken, and I'm going to have to go ahead and cancel this event. So because of his support for Frumpy to the motherfucking dump, he wasn't asked to support Frumpy Dump at one of these rallies like 50 Cent was off of $3 million. But that little change that he was going to make from that little winery, baby, he ain't going to make that money now, honey. And we all know that Waka Flocka ain't got 50 cents money. He ain't got that type of money to be messing around with, honey. He don't have it at all. So I'm pretty sure when he signed up for that, he definitely tabulated that check into his monthly budget on how he was going to pay his bills. But that lady said, hell no, to the no. And she pulled Waka Flocka and posted it right on her Instagram. I wish I had the pictures for you. On Facebook, I'll go ahead and I'll post it after this because, I have it. Y'all, I got it. Goddamn. This person says, I love and support my community first and foremost. I am not a huge political or music person, and I truly had no idea about the views of Waka Flocka Flame, nor do I share his views. My community has spoken, and the event for tomorrow has been canceled. I declare, honey. What a disgrace. So basically, the lady told Waka Flocka since his views don't align with her people.
You mean you ain't welcome here?
He is not welcome there. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep it a stack with you. I'm here for it all. All right, players. I really hope you guys enjoyed this brand new episode of The Real Tea with Double D. I'm gonna tell you this. Although and the name of this episode was Nah, so I'm gonna touch briefly on what is going on in the Black community because we feel like we showed up and showed out at the polls and we were abandoned by Latina women, by the pro-Palestine people that were encouraging people to not vote for Kamala or to just not vote at all or even vote for Donald Trump. The community feels like they have been, hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, won amok, and once again left out in the dust because we are always on the front lines for other people, but these people can't be on the front lines for us. So they are now pulling their support of these communities that have always asked for us to stand with them. But when it was time to stand with us, they did not stand with us. And I'm going to go ahead and keep it a stack with your players. I have to agree with the sentiment that, listen, there are a multitude of reasons why Kamala Harris didn't win this election. Number one, Democrats didn't show up to vote. It did not help this pro-Palestine thing with them encouraging people to not vote. It didn't help. I also feel like the messaging didn't get as far as it needed to get when it comes down to the economy, stuff that people were saying that they really cared about. Some people you can just talk to you blue in the face, like white men. You can talk to them till you blue in the face. It doesn't mean anything. They was never going to vote for a Black woman. But I think that I have told you guys this, and I'm just going to say it again. I have always felt that, when people are backed into a corner, they're always going to choose themselves. The Black community, we have a tendency to be really welcoming. We have a tendency to always want to forgive. We have a tendency to always want to extend a hand. We have a tendency to always want to extend love when we have not been extended that same courtesy time and time again. And it is about time when you have something tangible in your face that you pull that back and say, we can't do it anymore. The allyship that people feel like they have had over the years, it has been used and abused. People using Black voices and Black trauma to build their platforms and make millions and millions of dollars. And then when they get those platforms, they leave the Black community in the dust. We have seen this go on time and time again. So in my opinion, it is high time for us to start pulling back some of that support because a lot of times we do not get the same support back, especially, in my opinion, Black women. We don't get the same support that we give. So, baby, if Black women said they don't give a sip, they standing down, and hey, I gotta agree with it. So, but I really want to know what you all think. I want you guys to put your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel like that's too harsh? Do you feel like it's too much for the Black community to pull back their support due to the results of this election? Do you feel like hey, they have to do what they got to do. We got to do what we got to do. How do you feel about it? And I want to thank you guys for joining me for another brand new episode of The Real Tea with Double D. I'm doing good. This is episode number 3. I've been here for 3 weeks straight, no breaks. Y'all should be proud of Double D. I done gave y'all 3 straight weeks of episodes of The Real Tea with Double D. We ain't going back, okay? We ain't going back to 2023 when your girl fell off. We're going to go ahead and keep this thing going. So I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Remember to wait for this to be uploaded on my podcast in about 30 minutes or so if you guys want to watch the playback or listen to it in your audio. But I really appreciate y'all, and I hope y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining me. See you next week. Peace.
Welcome to The Real Tea with Double D. Thanks for listening to The Real Tea with Double D. Join us next week for the next episode of the most accurate news on the net. Be sure to follow on our social media platforms to stay up to date with all your day-to-day tea.
Welcome to the real tea with Double D.
And we out.
Welcome to the real tea with Double D. 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 Welcome to the real tea with Double D.